2003 was a troubling year for me, and perhaps having been born in Latin America, I don't know, but political awareness was very strong in my family. We had political discussions. They were part of my upbringing. But anyway, in 2003, for the first time, I could not separate my own political views from my artistic practice. And you may think, what is wrong with that? But I felt that a tokenistic gesture does not make a political activist. On the contrary, you could even be perceived as opportunistic. I made a decision, though, that I could not justify saying nothing by thinking, what difference can I make alone? And I think that has a lot to say about a lot of things in our lives and the decisions we make about keeping quiet. So keeping silent was not an option. So my Symphonie de guerre, or war symphony, began with La Raison, the first movement, which although was directly inspired by the 2003 Iraq War, was also intended of having a connection with more general world events and the logical thought process behind war, hence the assault on reason. I kept a diary during the time, and I'll just read you two excerpts firstly from May 2003, and these are my thoughts that I was writing down. I began to think about what was emotionally driving me, and could see that just like many other people around the globe, my grey matter was being seriously disturbed by the current gold rush. I began to think about how I could express my disillusionment in mankind, and decided that I could best do this by the protest words, l'assault sur la raison, or the assault on reason. In August, I elaborate on these thoughts, August of 2003. In my diary entry of May 2003, I spoke of the desire to express my disillusionment in mankind by the protest words, l'assault sur la raison. In 2004, l'assault sur la raison was recognised in the US with the Louisville Orchestra Prize, and in Australia with the APRA Award for Orchestral Composition. I actually had to go and do a talk at Indiana State University in 2004 as part of winning this award. I did a 50-minute talk about my piece, and I don't know how many of you remember what was going on in America in 2004, but I was quite nervous about doing this talk. All I can say is everything went well. And Louisville Orchestra is has got a long history of supporting new contemporary music. They have premiered more than 200 works by American composers. And in the 60s and 70s, they had a lot of support from the Rockefeller Foundation. The work is dedicated to world peace, and in particular it's the Australian organisation Victoria Peace Network, which promotes a doctrine the region's conflicts should be solved in a just and peaceful manner, with the participation and support of all nations and peoples in the region, having regard for the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and international law and the rights of all peoples to self-determination. The pitch material of the work, it uses a 2-octave scale. Rhythmically, on the other hand, there are additive rhythms. In the first movement, you hear lots of additive rhythms. For those musicians out there, it's a 5/8 metre augmented by additions of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quavers expanding in a contracting sequence. In striking contrast to the first movement, where an unreasonable tempo, 198 beats per minute, and constantly changing metres, duple, triple, quintuple and septuple time, we incorporate into the structure in order to represent the assault on reason. The second movement has been sculptured around the repeated 9/8 melodic ostinato of a constant 4/4 metre. Tonight's performance represents the first performance of the complete work, so the work as a whole has never been performed before. And I'd like to use this opportunity to thank the Canberra Youth Orchestra for being so brave. It's a very difficult piece, but at the same time, I'm actually quite, having just heard them just then, actually, I'm very, I really must commend Dominic for doing this, because in some ways I think to myself, well, the benefits are so great here in the sense that for a young orchestra to be able to perform new works. First of all, I mean, it's very beneficial to new composers, but also composers of new music, but also I think to the musicians themselves by being exposed. And I must commend Dominic for such a fantastic initiative.